There is a half-finished painting of me leaning against the wall in my spare room at home. In it, I am 25. I am 65 now, but this is still how I see myself. Still young and green and scared. I still pick pennies up from the street for luck, even if they're caked in mud. I still search the sky for 2 magpies. I still have to look into the mirror to remind myself how much time has passed. There's something about sitting up here and letting the eyes drink me in. It sends me back years and years. It brings everything back to me. Like waves spit out sea glass. Up here, my body is just part of the chair, and I have time to think, time to remember. I read somewhere that a bird can teach us to fall patiently, to trust our heaviness and let go, until the wind picks us up and carries us. What better symbol to scar myself with? It was never really about the tattoo. It was about the escape. Like somehow this was the beginning of something. I watched her draw the feathers with a sharp pencil, wondering what it would be like to take flight. Bluebirds are the carriers of happiness. I used to draw them on the backs of my notebook at school, fill their shapes with the inky depth of my pen, that unmistakable biro blue of school days. I'd make the sound of the wing beating with the nib on the table, sweeping it back and forth to give it form. I used to work round the corner at a pub. Mornings spent screwing nozzles onto the fonts. The Guinness ones have metal plates for a smooth pour. There was this old boy. He'd knock on the door before noon. The bolts would rattle in their braces and I would open it for him. I made allowances for him. I made allowances for the history in his face. I saw cracked ribs and split lips and factories. And despite the secrets he kept locked inside his chest, he'd always knock at a reasonable time. He would take his first sip and I would watch as the relief washed over him. One Monday morning in May, he thrusts his heavy body onto the stool. Anything else I can get you? Just your ears for the afternoon. Can I rent them, my love? He says the same thing every day. Yes, I always say. The bar stool is an ancient father. His words are a vessel carrying so much more than he is saying, hidden in the belly of them like contraband. You just get on with it, don't you? He says. I've never been one for complaining, me. He is a working man. Always has been until the work ran out. And how do you define yourself as something else when that's all you ever have been? His hands are underpasses, graffitied with lines, chasms around his eyes. We were honest men, he says. Men who never needed much. Men who never wanted to be much more than hard workers and fathers. A woman sat alone in that cafe where I used to go. Her eyes filling, blinking, then filling up again. Like a hopelessly small bucket collecting a catastrophic leak. She tries to stop the water from spilling over the rims, her lids like baby turtles, translucent shells, thin as the skin of pea pods, I can see the veins that guard the tender space behind them. I pull my chair over. At this point in my life, I'm young and obnoxious and I want to know people more. I'm aware of the claustrophobic space, how she may not want a stranger crashing a clumsy fist into her life. But she tells me her son is away, at war. He's left his babies at home, she says. And if only she had a photo to show me. Could she post one to me, she asks. They're so beautiful, she says. They miss him, and they're always talking about him. There's this intimacy shared between us. Though we've only spoken for a few moments, I want to take her hands in mine and tell her I'm acquainted with loss. But then again, isn't everyone? I've still got some tea in my pot, I say, and maybe she would like to share it, and then suddenly I'm telling her about my mother. And I never usually do this, but she asks her name, and it tumbles out of my mouth before I can catch it, and she'd be about your age, I say. And sometimes I am worried that I am entirely defined by her absence. Does that make sense? How her absence mocks me at Christmas and on long car journeys. Does that make sense somehow? And my asking is a sort of pleading. There is a safety in strangers. I don't need to pretend to be okay. She grabs my hand and she asks for my address. And I write it down on the back of her receipt like it's nothing. And then I go on with my life. And I picture her, leaning on her knee with a biro, writing to ask if I'm okay since that day we met. I never got her letter. Maybe she still hasn't written it yet. Now I write a letter to my younger self. It reads, "You will hurt beyond comprehension in this life. And then it will get better. You'll find that there are many different versions of yourself, and you'll often wonder which is the real one. You'll lose friends. You'll do unkind things. You'll only do the right things sometimes. But you'll learn when to hold your hands up. You'll fall in love, hard, more than once. You'll treat your home like hot coals, something you can't put your feet on for too long. You'll run. You'll run from familiar faces. You'll run from, how is your father, by the way? You'll run from, I'm so sorry. You will not find a place to stop. You will come back. You will leave again. You will come back. You will leave. But you will come back. Eventually I will realize I am enough.